What's up, yo? It's the Big Bear Joe radio show, and I'm your host, Joey Powell. This week, I'm bringing you another edition of the Women Who Rock interview series. I was lucky enough earlier in the week to sit down with Miss Laurissa Crump and have her tell me about her inspirational story. And so I'm going to share that with you right now. So let's get right into it. Thanks. We talked about how you met your husband.
Yeah, my first husband.
Yeah, your first husband.
Yes.
About how young you were.
Yeah. I knew him my entire life. And when I was 17, we started dating, and we dated for a couple years and ended up getting married. So I was married by the time I was 19, and within a year, I guess we were married a little over a year. We had our first child, and just a lot of, I know narcissism gets thrown around a lot,
Right.
but that he is severely into drugs and just running completely wild. And I was very sheltered. I say I was sheltered. My parents didn't hide things from me, but as far as being exposed to a lot of things in life, I really wasn't. And I took people at their word, took him at his word, and you know, it just, I'd say it came back and bit me, but it's part of it.
Right.
So, I guess we had I tried to hang on. I tried to hang on to the marriage. Did everything I possibly knew to do to show him love and to be there and, you know, uh, do what I was supposed to do as a wife.
Right.
And show that support no matter what. And then it was just constantly up and down, up and down, up and down with him on drugs, off drugs, on drugs, off drugs. When he was off drugs, I got pregnant with my second child, and that's when I was 23 weeks pregnant and I was having some weird stuff going on, and I was seeing a midwife, and went to the emergency room to tell them, hey, there's something weird going on, and said, hey, I'm seeing a midwife though, and they literally laughed at my face and sent me home. And then a week later, I was back in the emergency room, and they were like, something really is going on with her. She's not just crazy. And they ended up flying me to Dallas to stay in stay up there in the antepartum to try to keep the baby in. But he ended up being born at 23 weeks and 3 days, and he lived 23 hours. The most traumatizing thing I've ever been through in my life. And honestly, it took me probably 2 years and a lot of therapy to even get past the, what do they call that? The
postpartum?
Not the postpartum depression, but a lot of soldiers have it.
PTSD.
PTSD,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Had a lot of PTSD.
Right.
Couple years after that happened, I was pregnant with my third son, and I remember my oldest son wanted a popsicle, and it was the same popsicle that they gave me in the hospital, and it literally sent me over the edge, and I just completely lost it.
It was a trigger,
and
yeah.
It was, and that sounds so crazy, but it was, and
It doesn't sound crazy at all. It's very natural.
there were just some really wild, I don't know. Like I said, nothing I've ever experienced like that. And then, so kind of trying to work through that. Had my third son, my second living child, and there was just a lot with that involved too, because everything that he was doing, it it was like a blessing, and I was so thankful. Just my relationship with him, I'm so super protective of him compared to my other ones, and I know that it's because I got pregnant with him shortly after I lost my second son. But and then it, like, worse than ever before at that point with my husband and I, my ex-husband. Um, at that point, he just, I'm sure he was dealing with a lot of like emotional stuff from losing a child too, but he chose drugs to go with that, and had a lot of resentment, and still honestly kind of do have a lot of resentment towards him, because I'm just like, I loved you so much.
Right.
I would have done anything I could have done to save you. And it really comes down to, you can't save anybody. That's that's on them. They have to make that decision for themselves. And
you probably at that time you needed him more than anything.
oh man, I remember, and yeah, it was just absolute. And the I basically, my parents, they helped me so much, emotionally, in getting through that. But a lot of it was, I had to lean on God and myself. Like, and my oldest son, I don't know how I would have ever made it through a period like that without him. And anybody that goes through loss of a child, and they don't have another child to pour even more love into, I don't even know. I don't know how they survive it. I guess you survive what you have to, honestly. But yeah, it started getting really, really wild, as you can imagine, when drugs are involved. The physical and psychological, just emotional abuse that went on. I really thought I was starting to go crazy. People were, even like his side of the family, they were like taking his side of things, and I'm telling them, look, I think he's on drugs or something, like something's not good, it's not matching up. And they're just continually, are you sure? Do you really think, like, and then, his even had family come stay with us because I felt unsafe. And he would just lock me out of my bedroom. God, I honestly, the things that I look back and see, it's like, is this like a movie? Is this like some dramatized something that? But no, this was my life. It was absolutely absurd, and looking back on it, and literally the lowest. I mean, I just lost a son a couple years ago, and at that point, I was pregnant with my fourth son, and the judgment from that is whatever. Because, like, well, y'all were having issues. You think another baby's gonna fix the issue? Well, no, we didn't think another baby was gonna fix the issue, but I look at it as it was what God had planned. That's what God wanted. So, had my fourth son. Was pregnant with my fourth son. So, police ended up being involved in this craziness, and it was just, it was absolutely insane. We tried to get him to go to therapy. He went like once or twice, and then he bowed out on that one. And I kept going, and it was honestly, therapy saved me. It saved my life, I 100% believe, and that and God's grace. And then my kids, honestly, I don't know what even would have happened with them had I stayed in that situation. But I was talking to my therapist one day, and I was just telling her something, and I was just saying it nonchalantly, like it was no big deal. And she just stops, and she looks at me, and she goes, do you hear what you're saying? Like, I know you know what you're saying, but do you hear yourself? And I stopped, and just processed, because I was able to speak what I was saying, and
Right.
like I kind of knew, but at that point I had been gaslit so much that I'm thinking, okay, this is just normal marital, like whatever. And at that point when she asked me that, I just stopped and processed. And that was probably the first time I'd ever just really processed what the hell was going on in my life.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God. And then I started reading the book called Boundaries by Dr. Cloud, and I don't know the other guy's name, Townsend, I think. But that book really helped me understand that I could say no to how I was being treated for me and my kids, and not be a you're going to hell person because you're saying no.
Right.
So yeah, it was I don't even. It's honestly, it's like a book long of stuff that I could write about the details of what happened in that relationship, and marriage. But he was arrested, and they had me fill out this form, and I don't even remember. I think it's the Miranda law, maybe. I can't remember, but it's some kind of law where they check to see if you're a victim of domestic violence. And I did the survey or whatever, and it came back, and they were like, this shows you're a victim of domestic violence. He is already under arrest. Like, what are you doing? And at that point, that was March 26th, 2016, and every year it's hard, it's tough, it's a tough time of year every year.
That's not that long ago.
No, it's not that long ago. But yeah, every year that comes around, and I don't even realize, but I'll start to get like a little anxious or a little, I don't know, irritable, I guess. And it doesn't dawn on me until I'm like, why am I what is wrong with me right now? And it's subconsciously, I'm like, no, this was the time of year, in 2016 that shit just totally hit the fan. And I was, at that point, had been begging God to please deliver me, like deliver him, like fix whatever, however. And I had no idea that it was going to be in the way of, you're a victim of domestic violence, he's under arrest, what are you going to do?
Right.
I'd been a stay-at-home mom that pretty much that whole time. I had tried to go to college, and he wasn't having it. So I was a stay-at-home mom, 2 small kids, another one on the way, and 28 years old, and my life just got flipped all the way upside down. And not much to
And it probably was a situation where you just looked up one day and thought, I'm 28. Where is these years going? Because when you're in a struggle like that every single day, you're not enjoying your life. You're not, you're not developing, you're not blossoming, you're not growing, because you're not getting emotional support. You're not, developing into this happy family that you wanted, So again, you look up and you're like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, honestly, my entire 20s is just like a blur.
Right.
And honestly, there's a lot of things that my memory has just blocked out. My family will ask me, "Do you remember this?" And I'm like, "No, I don't. I don't remember that at all." And it's like a defense mechanism,
Well,
you
again,
block that out.
it's like your reference to, so you were in the middle of a war. You're in the middle of an emotional war. And without his aid, now, other people can't heal us.
Right.
We have to go through the healing process, but you had no support from the person that you needed the most support from at the time.
Yeah.
And along with that, having other children that needed to have a dad, that needed support and everything else. So again, the reason why, like I said, it's all blurred because you were in the middle of an emotional storm.
It was.
For nearly a decade.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it was extremely crazy. I've always been pretty love life, live it, laugh. Like I even now, like I've healed a lot. I still have healing to do. I still have things I've got to work through myself. We all do. It's never ending. You always have something you got to work on for yourself. Um, but I literally am such a kid at heart and just love life that my family was just like, who is she? What is happening? What is going on? Because I was just so torn down. But I'm a very resilient person, and so it was hard. I mean, I was a bawling, bubbling mess for I don't know how long, but I mean, within that month, I was enrolled into college to finish college.
Wow.
I was I wasn't playing around. I was like, I mean, now what? I either say, okay, well, I'm still gonna go back to them and whatever and risk it, or I can me and my kids and you know do what I got do what's got to be done. My parents were incredibly supportive. As far as helping me get through. I had already had my no, I needed 1 semester of hours, so like 12 hours to finish my associates, and then I could start the teaching program. So that summer, again, hugely pregnant with my third child, or he's actually my fourth, but my third living child. But yeah, that summer I just did all of my hours that I could. And then he was due and born in August, and the teaching program started in August. So I got my hours done and then got applied for the teaching program and got into the teaching program. And he was born a week before the teaching school started.
Wow.
A week before it started, 18 hours of college. With a newborn, 1 week old newborn, and 2 small kids. And thank God for my professors at that time, because they were absolutely phenomenal at understanding and working with me, how they needed to. But I did it. And at that time, that's when my fitness journey started in 2006. October 2016 is when that started. And all of it, yes, I was resilient. Yes, I did, whatever. But the fitness is what has honestly just really stuck with me to help me continue to growing, even now to today. Like, it is number one my passion. Yeah, it's my biggest.
What people don't understand is, and we had a conversation about a little bit of things I went through in the past, but when you've been through that storm like you had, and you went from being a child, 17, probably, I didn't ask you this, but you probably felt expected to marry him.
Oh, well, I don't know that I felt expected to be married. I probably expected that of myself.
Gotcha.
When I was a kid, my mom asked, "Well, what do you want to do when you're an adult?" "Oh, I want to be a stay-at-home mom and take care of my kids and my husband." And that's what that's when I was a kid. That's what I wanted to do.
And then you go into this marriage, the death of your first child, dealing with him and his narcissism, dealing with his drug addiction, and probably
everything that comes with that. Cheating, lying, stealing.
And probably on your end, probably explaining away some things.
Oh,
making excuses or making explanations for things. Not
everybody.
Just to everybody and to yourself.
And to myself.
Yeah, saying, oh, this is, whatever. And what happens when you come out of that is nobody, I don't care who you are, is going to feel worthy of anything.
Oh,
your self-worth. So your health, journey had nothing to do with ego. It had nothing to do with revenge, or it had nothing to do with this.
No.
It had the fact to do with, I've got to get my life in order.
It did, yes.
And that's why you stayed on this path, because again, it's become a part of you now.
Yes.
You know, it's not just something that you do. It's part of your. It's like brushing your teeth or taking a shower. It's part of you.
Yeah.
You
It
know.
literally saved my emotional and mental health. Like
Right.
if I had not done that, I did not. I'm very more. I wouldn't say very. I'm more of a holistic mindset on taking care of your body. So I didn't really want to take the um, medicine route. I wasn't opposed to it if I needed it, but I wanted to try the natural things that I knew had could have some impact on that. And so that's what I did. I went with the let's learn how to eat right. Let's learn how to take care of your body with the physical activity. And honestly, when I first started with the physical and in the gym and stuff, I was like, I've got to be in shape because I have 3 boys I've got to take care of. I want to be able to make memories with them. I don't want to be out of breath and
Right.
not able to have fun with them and all of this.
Well, at the time too is, when you started this journey, you're certainly young now. You know what I mean? So again, it's like it was. I wouldn't say do or die, but it was a situation where you're just like, this is where it starts. This that life, that relationship is back then, right? This is a new
Yes.
me, and you doing things the healthy way was part of your worth too.
Oh, it
Not
definitely
just,
was.
not just the I'm gonna take medicines or whatever, not putting toxins or whatever, but that fact that at the end of the day, you knew that when you started to accomplish this, you were going to think more of yourself if you didn't take
Yes.
any shortcuts.
Yes, for sure. And yeah, at the time, and honestly, even up until probably 2 years, 2.5 years ago, my self worth,
Mm-hmm.
um, I, I mean, to be honest, I hurt other people
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't heal right
Mm-hmm.
before I tried to move on. And um, I hate that. I hate like it's still like just like gosh,
Mm-hmm.
man, I hate that I hurt that person because they're a good person, but my self worth was so low
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't know what I wanted. I'm just like, okay, they're nice to me, so okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't look at things like, is this person compatible with me? Do we have connection? Do we
Mm-hmm.
share things in common?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, all of these just different. Do I feel comfortable with this person?
Mm-hmm.
Can I be vulnerable with this person? None of
Mm-hmm.
that. I was just like, okay, yeah, they like me, so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do this. And I hate that. I hate that, but you know,
Well,
it is.
it is the truth that hurt people hurt people.
It is.
It
It's
is,
very
and
true.
it's because, like I said, it's not explaining away, not making excuses, but you weren't in a position emotionally to, even if the person you had wanted to meet would have
Mm-hmm.
come along, you weren't ready.
No,
You
no.
know.
At that time, no, I was not ready at
Right.
all. And honestly, now I've just taken a totally different approach on it. I'm like, okay, let's just let life do what life's gonna
Mm-hmm.
do, and
Mm-hmm.
whatever happens is gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing is, I feel like so many people take things personal when
Mm-hmm.
like relationships don't work out, or if
Mm-hmm.
somebody like they're like, oh, I like this person, and we're talking and we're dating or whatever, and then someone, one or the other
Mm-hmm.
decides, hey, no, this isn't really what I'm looking for or whatever. People take that personal, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like it's not personal though.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's them. Like
Right.
you just have to, okay, that wasn't what I wanted. Let's go on to the next.
Mm-hmm.
So and that honestly has been a revelation for me for just within the last year or so.
Mm-hmm.
My therapist that I had been seeing not too long ago recommended a book to me, and the Four Agreements, and one of the agreements in there was don't take anything personal, and that includes positive comments.
Mm-hmm.
So when somebody even compliments me
Mm-hmm.
in a positive way, which I love to inspire people. That's like
Mm-hmm. Right.
the ultimate comment to me is when
Right.
somebody says, "Man, I'm gonna push harder because of you," or "Hey, you really inspire me to get into the gym,
Mm-hmm.
to watch what I'm eating, to whatever." That's the ultimate compliment. But
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm at the point where I've really taken the not taking it personal to heart, because their compliment or their negative opinion of me, positive or negative opinion of me, is based on their experience in life. And my value is not determined by what they think.
Right.
Whether it is positive or negative. Like, I shouldn't feel like extra happy because, oh, that person said you look great or you're super sweet or whatever. Like, I know about myself what, I have my own opinion of myself, and I should base it on myself, not what anybody else thinks.
Right. And what you've grown to do is become emotionally centered.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And emotionally strong. Like you said, it's one of those where it's like, if somebody gives you a legitimate, like you said, you inspired me, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. But again, it's this not getting too high, not getting too low kind of thing, and just being in the moment and just getting through every day and taking, like I said, taking those compliments and appreciating them, but also not allowing it to affect your journey at all.
Right.
Because those kind of things, to some people, can actually affect their journey in a negative way.
Oh, yeah.
And
I've
like I said, it
seen
gets into like, again,
and I've
like an
been there before.
Right.
I've been there before where people, will compliment me or say something positive, and I'm like, I just let it, my ego went poof.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, I don't really even like that I do that. So that's why I'm like, I appreciate the positive comments, and I'm glad that I'm impacting you, but I can't let it affect, positive or negative. Can't let it affect me.
Right. And like I said, being emotionally strong is generally the last thing a lot of people work on.
Oh, yeah.
Because most of us aren't, either because of our family situation growing up, because of circumstances in our life, because of society, because of expectations, because of pressure, whatever it is, being emotionally strong. And part of that, again, is like you talked about, part of that, again, is realizing, well, I don't have to be with somebody, just because they like, they're nice or just that, there's positive things about them. I'm comfortable with myself getting through life. If something happens, whatever. But that's part of that, again, being emotionally strong and everything, and being centered.
And this society, ooh, we're on the struggle, or this generation, I guess you could say, is on the struggle bus with the being alone thing. I mean, the whole society is centered around be in a relationship, be with somebody, be with the family, have it. Don't be by yourself.
And what happens is it pushes us into toxic relationships. And then the ego sets in, because then if for some reason that relationship will work out, we try to make it work. Or that person is feeding part of our ego. Maybe the person is on a economic status that we're not on, or that person we think of as somebody out of our league, or somebody that's maybe just waits on us hand and foot, or whatever it is. It's feeding our ego, that person is, instead of being a two healthy people in a relationship that balance each other out, and give and take kind of relationship. Because if you're not emotionally healing, they're getting something off you, but you're getting something off them, which is toxic.
And and I'm a firm believer too that somebody can be toxic to one person and not another. Like, absolutely. Like, it just is. It's just possible. Like, you don't have to be a bad person to be toxic in a relationship.
And what it is we all have toxic tendencies.
Yes.
And it's the people that bring out those toxic tendencies in us. And it's like you say, again, and a lot of times it's because it's just not a match. That's not it. They're just not. It's not that puzzle piece, right?
Right.
And again, it's their toxic tendencies are making your toxic tendencies. So it's so it's like there's this friction where it's like it's not natural. It's there. People have always said this thing where, and the older I've gotten, I've began to believe is, when you're with somebody, it has to feel like home.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a generic term.
Yeah.
But again, it's something that when you know, and a lot of times we push that. We're like, we start explaining away red flags, or we start explaining away, toxic tendencies, or how we're really feeling inside, and we're like, oh yeah, everything's great, kind of thing. But you are right now, you're in your strength.
Yes.
And that's that makes you kind of hold your shoulders back and kind of like, straighten up and be like, oh, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
Yeah.
good.
Like you don't have to bring a whole lot
Right.
to
Right.
the like. We're gonna have to really click because the peace I have right now. After you go through the chaos I went through in my home,
Right.
uh, and then you get that peace and you're finally happy with yourself. Um, the peace that comes with that is just like it's gonna take a whole lot
Right.
to if you're gonna come join this table
Right.
because and it's not an ego arrogant thing. It's just like you literally emotionally I can't go through another war like that like with somebody. Not saying that I can't go through hard times with somebody, saying that I can't allow myself to be lost again. And just it's just the peace. Every day when I walk in my house I'm like, gosh, this is so peaceful.
Right.
And just yeah. So
now, after you and your first husband divorced,
I did get married again. And honestly, great guy. He's an amazing dad to our daughter. Still steps up for my boys. Just amazing guy. Just wasn't the right relationship for me. And he's honestly, that's one of the people that I'm like, I hurt him. I hate that. And it's not that I don't love him. It's not that capacity. It's not the husband wife capacity. But he is a great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were some things that I just kind of, it's like, he's a good guy. He's good to me. He's good to the kids, whatever. But I wasn't being true to myself in some things. And
well, you were still in a state of being needy.
oh,
you were still in a need
yes,
state.
I was very needy,
Right.
and now I'm like I can spot the neediness real quick. I'm like, like, okay, you're too needy for me. I'm sorry.
Right.
Go heal some more.
And again, actually, that's those situations where it just wasn't right fit.
Yeah,
There's nothing
is.
negative about him. It just was not a right fit.
Yes.
And that's why it's good that y'all still have a cordial relationship.
Yes.
So how long did that last?
We got married in 2018 and we divorced in 2021. I think it was 21. Yeah, I think it was 2021. Honestly, my years still run together sometimes. Like, because, yes, I was in my 20s was the midst of the war, but after the war, you've got cleaning up to do. And it's hard to, it's still a lot of, your mind is like going all over the place and you're trying to figure things out. And you like, I'm honestly probably, my memory with just the last 15 years is probably not the greatest. But yeah, he's a great guy. But so it just wasn't meant to be. But now I am solely focused on my career, my kids, and my goals. Picked up bodybuilding a couple of years ago, so trying to really put a lot of energy into that, which can present a problem in the dating world.
How so?
People don't like it. Well, you're very strict dieting. There's no going off of the plan. Like, yes, I'm spending 3 hours in the gym every day. My days usually start at 4 a.m. And I go to the gym and get my workout done and just sticking. And then I'm in bed by 9 o'clock at night, and that's not common for my age. And so just people, they're like, well, that's extreme. And it is.
Well,
it is.
Again, that's where that fit comes in, is somebody that realizes that you have to have that.
Yes.
That's for your emotional health.
Yeah.
And people don't understand when you're, even if you don't go in a gym, if you're just jog every morning, or you do this, you do, Pilates, or you do yoga, or whatever you do, that those moments are where your mind gets centered. You get those natural endorphins. You get, you start to focus on your day. You start doing this, and there's all these benefits that happen that have nothing to do with the mirror.
Right.
Have nothing to do with the mirror. Have nothing to do with the attention or whatever.
Right.
They're things that you grow that we as human beings need. That we as human beings didn't, used to not have to go to a gym or this, that, and the other because we were hiking mountains looking for caribou. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? So, but it's part of what keeps you level right now. So anybody would have to understand that and appreciate that.
Yes.
Appreciate that you found something to keep you balanced.
And that's one of the things too when I'm talking about earlier about like somebody being needy. It's just like you have to be individual people
right.
outside of this relationship, and that's like I want somebody that'll work out with me or occasionally or whatever, but they don't have to be like so into it like I am.
Right.
But it's honestly a lot of it is to do with the passion, the discipline, that is the challenge. I love a challenge. So the fact that I can set this goal, I can see the goal. It's not an instant reward. It's a delayed gratification. So I've got to work for this. I've got to keep staying. I've got to stay on the course. Stay on track. When things, honestly, this off season's been a little annoying to me, just because for different reasons. It's not even really annoying. It's just part of the journey. But I've just had some disheartening moments that I still fall into the dang, that number isn't what I wanted it to be when I get on the scale or do my body scan or whatever. But then when I really stop, like it's frustrating at first, but when I stop and think about it, I'm like, are you serious right now?
Right.
This is the journey. This is what, like, just stay on the course. If you just stick to the plan, it's going to work. And it does.
Right.
So,
well, what you're doing is, again, it's for your mental health, because everybody has to be in a situation where, the worst thing you could ever take away from somebody is their hope.
Oh,
and what leads to hope is having the opportunities to get to whatever they're wanting to get to.
Yeah.
Whether it's, I'm going to, live in that house, I'm going to be, I'm going to have this career, I'm going to live in this state, whatever it is. You got to, have these dreams and this hope. And what you're doing right now is you've set goals and you're meeting those goals. No different than, like I said, if somebody was like, okay, I'm going to get my bachelor's, my master's, and PhD, or somebody said, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to race little cards and motorcycles, and I'm going to race it, and I'm going to be, NASCAR, whatever their goals are. You've set these little goals, you know what I mean, and you're achieving them, and those things are what human beings have to have.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? We have to have those goals. We have to meet those goals. That's the reward of, I hit that goal. What's the next one?
Yeah.
It's no different like a vision board or something like that. But so you've just chosen to do it in the gym.
Yes, and that's another thing is it's funny because bodybuilding is my focus. Like that's what my main focus is right now. But I have other goals in the gym that have nothing to do with bodybuilding. I want to do I can do pull-ups now, but I want to be able to do a muscle up. And people are like, well, are you trying to like train for CrossFit or something? And I'm like, no, I just like the way it, I just want to be like, hey, I can do a muscle up. Like, that's cool. I don't know why.
Well,
cool.
it's a especially when you've been through what you've been through.
Yeah.
It's those things of, you were in a place of deficit, emotional deficit, because you weren't getting support you needed in your relationship, the hardships you were going through with your child, everything. So again, your self-worth was in a negative.
Yes.
So when you start getting a situation like you are now, where you're getting to be more emotionally centered and you're setting these goals, it's this, I want to do it because A, I've never been able to do it, but B, the most important part is I never thought I could do it.
Yeah.
And I want to prove to myself that I can do it, because the old me would have thought there's no way, but the new me is like, yeah, it's possible.
Yes, exactly. And I'm a teacher, 7th grade math, so fun time to teach math. Usually students already come in with the stigma on math, or parents are starting to freak out because they're like, I don't know how to help them, I don't know what. But my favorite thing to tell them is, yeah, guys, this is hard, but guess what? You can do hard things. And that is literally like one of my favorite things. Like, oh yeah, this is hard, but you can do hard things. And the payment that you get from that, the result you get from doing that hard thing and just showing grit and getting through it, it's like, no, you can't buy that kind of satisfaction. It's literally just, you have to do it. And that's another thing about fitness too, is you can't buy a fit body. You can go buy a bunch of things. You can go have a bunch of surgeries. But to actually be fit, you can't buy that. You have to do it. You have to put in the work. And like, it is what it is. You're either you stick to it and you get fit, or you don't. And I used to do personal training, and so many times people will come in and it's the same thing. Like, everybody knows, New Year's resolution, gonna get in, gonna do it for a month and quit. I'm like, guys, but the time is gonna pass anyway, and then you're gonna be here next year, and you'll be like, man, why didn't I stick to this? I just stick to it. And my least favorite excuse, my most frustrating excuse, is I don't have time. Because literally, I'm not just a single parent, I'm an only parent to 3 of my boys, or 3 of my kids. And then I do have a full-time job, and I do real estate on the side. So it's like, no, I don't have time. It's not, you can't go there. And my kids play sports. 2 of my kids play sports. Now, I will say, my daughter's dad, he helps a ton with her, and he'll even, like last night, he took my son to his practice so I could take my daughter to hers. But so I do have that support and help. And my parents, they're pretty good about watching my kids on the weekend if I just need some time or anything like that. But saying I don't have time is not, you have time. It's just where you're not budgeting your time right. On the weekends, I just told somebody not too long ago, I said, my weekends aren't for recovering from the week. They're preparing for the next week. I'm not sitting around and just relaxing and just binge watching Netflix all day. No, I'm preparing for the next week. Yes, I have some downtime where I just kind of chill, but that's not the bulk of my weekend. The bulk of my weekend is getting ready to do what has to be done so that next week can be successful. So,
well, also, we're talking about setting goals and accomplishing them, and it helping your mental state and keep you going forward and not revert back to where you were, and accomplishing things that you never thought you'd accomplish. But the thing that what setting goals does is it teaches us the most valuable lesson, and the thing we read about, as children, and we would watch on PBS or whatever, different things. What it does is it teaches us patience.
Oh yeah.
And we're also in a society that's become less and less patient. Where that's microwave society of, I want it now, I want it to go,
how
let's
can
get it
I
now.
drop 20 pounds by,
or how can I find a shortcut? You know what I mean? How can I get to the top, the career ladder, or how can I do this or do that? And they want these shortcuts. And again, it's the methodical, one day at a time thing. And that's what you're talking about as far as too, is people, when they say they don't have time, you're like, 15 minutes. 10 minutes. 5. It's better than no minutes. You know what I mean? Do some sit-ups or some squats or something in the morning. Do something.
That's the whole thing. I made a social media post about this a while back, but people will say, oh, I don't have time to meal prep. I don't have time to prep my meals for the week, or I don't have time for this, that. But then they'll go sit at Texas Roadhouse, which I
Right.
love, my favorite restaurant. But anyways, they'll go sit at Texas Roadhouse for an hour and a half waiting to be seated.
Right.
And I'm like, you could have used that hour and a half to prep your food.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
it's just you've got to be intentional with your time.
Right.
I'm not against going and sitting there waiting for Texas Roadhouse because I'm gonna do it as soon as I have my free meal. but yeah, it's just that constantly people just they get into the routines of whatever the way their life is, and now my routine in life is meal prep, work out, take care of my kids, make sure my shit's taken care of at home, and making sure my business is taken care of. But it does take time to get into that routine of things, and just that mind frame of, you know what, this is hard, I'm gonna do it. It's gonna get done, and yes, I'm tired today. No, I don't want to be up doing an extra load of laundry, but guess what? It's got to be done.
Right.
So you gotta push through.
Right.
The mental is honestly the biggest struggle people have with that, in my opinion.
Right.
If you can mentally overcome the I can't, then you can.
I think, and I didn't know you back when you were in your 20s, but I think the person that sits here right now is the person, like you said before, that was the positive, happy-go-lucky person who's got everything going in the right direction. You seem emotionally centered, emotionally strong. You're physically strong. You're ready for whatever life brings at you.
Yeah.
And I feel like whatever comes at you now won't take you off your, will take you off kilter. Will take you off your feet. And that's what's, when you go to sleep at night and close your eyes, that's what makes you feel good.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I've got this.
Yeah.
And like you said, whether you get on the scale or whether you're doing your body measurements or whatever, and you're not hitting certain goals or whatever, the strength in, okay, it's going to be okay. That's part of it too. It's and it's not really forgiving yourself necessarily, but it's the, living your life in reality. I mean, you have dreams, you have goals, but there's still reality of, there's things, that's going on. But,
the thing is, if I'm giving my all and I'm doing my very best, I know I'm doing my best. So what am I going to be mad about?
Right. But I just, I definitely feel like, just sitting here talking to you, that you are absolutely a rock star. I mean, you've been through a lot.
Yeah.
I've made this reference to people before. It's I've been through the mill, but the mill didn't win. You know what I mean, kind of thing. You know what I mean? And you've come out of the better person. And when you're 80 years old and you're still bebopping around because you've taken care of your physical health and your mental health, that part of your 20s is going to be so far. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter now.
Yeah, it doesn't matter now.
It's allowed you to create this foundation for future relationships, for you have your kids as a healthy mom, and eventually grandkids, and doing these things in your career. Like I said, you're doing real estate and you're teaching, and working out and all this kind of stuff. But you are an absolute rock star.
Yeah. Like I said, I guess one of the things I'm like learning now is also part of what I went through in my 20s had to do with things in childhood, because everything comes back to childhood, right? But one of the things I'm most proud of is like childhood me is like back. It's like, hey, there she is, she's doing this, and now I'm proud of her. Like childhood me is proud of who.
Absolutely,
where I am.
And that's the most healthy way to look at these things, because there's always these people that'll say, do things that the future you will like, or the future you'll be proud of. I'm like, no. Do the things that the young you would look up to, because that's what should motivate you. Because if you're looking at the future you, you don't know what the future you is going to be.
Right.
You know, the future
Right.
you may look back here and say, "Oh, I'm disappointed," because the future you may be doing bigger things than you're doing now.
Yeah.
So, but again, you know, the younger you going, "Oh my gosh, that's me.
Oh,
My
man.
gosh, I can't believe that's me."
Yeah, and
You know?
especially like if you think about it, like just where I was at in my 20s, and I'm like, there was days I didn't think I was gonna survive. I didn't think I was gonna even live to see the next day. Like what? And just looking back now, seeing, I mean, I guess that's why I love inspiring so much, especially young women in their 20s that, you know, even social media is what it is. Some of it's real, some of it ain't. But you can kind of start picking up because you've been through some things, so you can start picking up on some people's things. So that's why I'm just like, just keep hanging on, because this is a season of life. It's, you do your part, you grab onto the rope and you start pulling yourself out of the mud. Yeah, it sucks. It's going to take a minute to get out of the mud. It's going to take a minute to get that cleaned off of you. You might find some mud later on that you need to wash off, but it's a season and you're going to get through it. And that's what I just so much want people to know, that when they're in their lowest points, that's not who they are forever. That's a moment in life, and I'm gonna have low moments again. I already know people have them. That's part of life. But just knowing that I've overcome this. Now I've already been through this hell. I know I can overcome this hell. And just keep on pushing. And
well, it's this too shall pass, right?
Yes.
You know,
exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
and I very much admire you for what you've gone through and what you've accomplished. But I admire you for who the person you are, because again, you are emotionally strong right now. And that was the hard work.
It was.
You know what I mean? And that's why, you know, when you get up and go to the gym, or like I said, you stay up late at night and doing laundry or whatever, or having to get kids around to this, that, and the other. There's those moments you sit and go, yeah, but I'm loving this. I'm loving me. I'm loving my life. I'm loving my kids. I'm loving my, you know, my journey. And that wasn't you 10 years ago, 8 years, 5 years, whatever it was. So that's the thing that I admire, you know, and having that strength to be your true self for one, and sharing this story. You know, what we talked about is there are people out there listening to this who, you know, they're going to hear parts of your story that apply to them. You know, and it may not be exactly the same, but it may be similar. And they may feel like they're in this, you know, never ending tunnel. You know, they're buried under whatever expectations. And I said this, you know, we're in a society now that's got so many expectations on people, but it's as a whole, we've put these expectations on each other. You know, a lot of that is social media. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. So that's the part of being mature enough to go, oh yeah, I'm scrolling through it for a few minutes, I'm bored or whatever, but realizing that what you're seeing is not real or whatever, and taking it as it is, instead of taking it as, oh my gosh, this person's doing this, I'm not this. But there are younger people now that's all they know, so they think that that's the, you know, what,
My
you know,
kids. I'm like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yes, but. And I mean, I've been in that trap before of really just being on social media and so much. And honestly, that's why it took me so long to get into bodybuilding, is I'm like, there's no way I could ever look like that. Like, I'm never going to be like that. And you just gotta back up and look, like, stop comparing yourself to everybody else. It's you versus you always. Are you better than you were yesterday? Are you doing more? Are you striving? Are you pushing harder to get to where you want to be in life? I mean, I'm gonna be honest. There's some social media influencers that are like, yeah, that's cool, but I don't know that I want to be where they're at in
Right.
life. I have my own
Right.
destination, my own path that I need to travel on, and the only way I can get down my path and my destination is to do me versus me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and but yes, a lot of people, even adults,
Mm-hmm.
it's the jealousy and the man, I don't know, some malice can come out in
Mm-hmm.
people, and it's just absolutely insane. I'm like, I want everybody to win. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mad at you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's cheer each other on.
Right.
I will be anybody's biggest cheerleader, uh, for whatever. Now I do have a lot going on, so I might have to cheer you on the side. Sometimes I
Right.
get those messages.
Right.
I'm like, gosh, good job, and
Right.
then I'm like, dang, I responded in my
Right.
head, not to them.
Right. Right.
So, but no, I'm all and this whole there's like a new movement thing going on with women supporting women, and I'm like, yes, I'm here for it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm sitting here right now. I'm definitely rooting for you.
Thank
And
you.
I think what's hard sometimes is we're put in these positions to inspire people and help motivate people, but we need, some validation for people too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's human nature. And, so I'm giving you that right now because I promise you right now, I'm very much so admiring you right now.
Oh, thank
And
you.
I'm rooting for you so much. Thank you so much for doing this interview with me.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been more than honored and glad to share a little bit of me and my life and inspire, hopefully, women, men,
Right.
everybody,
Mm-hmm.
anybody, kids, teenagers, whatever, everybody.
Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the Big Bear Joe Radio Show. And a very special thank you to Miss Laurissa Crump for taking the time to sit down with me and do an interview. I appreciate her so much. And please follow her on Wellness Beyond Wednesday on Instagram to keep up with her inspirational story. So, everyone have a good week. Please tune in next week, same time, Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. And I'll have another interview guest. And remember, whatever you do every single day, do it with all your heart and do it with pure good intentions. Thanks.
The previous recording is the sole property of the Bear Meets World Media Group, LLC. All publishing and distribution rights belong to the Bear Meets World Media Group, LLC, and its subsidiaries, unless otherwise expressly written by the Bear Meets World Media Group president or by its legal representation.